go with it.
Okay, we need to take a selfie because we always forget, and we need to post
I just
today.
sprayed my hair, so. Very nice. Good job.
Hold on. Let's see. Okay. Just making sure my head up front doesn't look gigantic against your head.
Sweet Jesus. Clifton has the exact same problem. This is how Clifton takes pictures with
He's
me.
a round head too. He probably goes like this.
Yes, he does. And I'm like, that's not how you do it.
Well, because you have a very small head, and Clifton and I have big heads.
So
Scott has a small head too. Very narrow.
So at Jambox, you have to wear a headset. Mm-hmm. And they think I'm just trying to be real cool.
Yeah.
Because I have a beanie on.
Yeah.
And really, it's what keeps the headset on. Because if
Your
I
head's
wear
too
a hat, my head's too small. They come down here and I can't see my people very well. And I crank my neck back like that and I hurt my neck. So I put the beanie on. So it holds it there. They're like, oh, she thinks she's ghetto. Look at her. She's trying to fit in. She's trying to fit in here. And I'm
like,
the
culture.
Shut up.
Hey y'all, we're just giving it a go. We're just pushing record.
I thought we were going to talk about it first.
No, we're going to record. We're going to go.
Oh, there's no
bringing it.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Live Messy podcast listeners. Hi y'all. We think that we have come at this topic from very different perspectives, which I'm sure we have. We didn't put clickety clack away, so you're going to hear dog walking. Yes. That's okay. It'll be fine. I think he'll settle down. No,
because he has an emotional problem.
He has an emotional attachment to me, and we're best friends. So she's going to put him away. But welcome to the podcast. It is brought to you by Live Limitless Coaching and The Messy Mingling. You can find both of those if you search on Instagram. Also, don't forget to follow along on YouTube. We post all of our shenanigans over there, and it's super funny. You can find us at Live Messy Podcast on YouTube and on Facebook. And we're working on, well, I haven't started yet, but a website will be coming this soon.
Oh, okay. I thought she was going to say something new. I'm like, whoa, what are we working on? I don't know.
A website. But today, okay, so I really liked last week's topic. Did you like it?
I did.
Did you? Because you don't sound very convincing.
No.
Okay.
No, you got me all
discombobulated. We're talking about energy and the energy you just brought.
No, I'm just discombobulated because you hit play so fast. And she does this to me every time.
I like it.
She's like, boo, hey, we've been recording for 10 minutes. I'm saying racial slurs, inappropriateness.
I didn't record that part.
I didn't.
No, I'm just kidding. Didn't happen. So last week we talked about contentment, and we thought it was a good spot to start the new year. And this week we're going to talk about energy and how God designed you. I really like that we're getting into the deep parts before we talk about physical health and all that, because I think we need to go there before we go there.
You have to start in the beginning, because the beginning isn't external, the beginning is internal whenever we talk about health and wellness and fresh start, because that all comes from inside. It all comes from the energy that you have, the habits that you have, it's all motivated.
It's all
mental.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and I think it's so easy for people to come out in the new year and want to better themselves in whatever capacity, and you jump right in rather than just kind of peeling away the layers first.
For sure. That's absolutely true. Yeah. And I talk about this a lot with clients. And what's so funny is I've done this for years. You know that new Noom little...
Yes, the app.
You know what that is? That's cognitive behavioral nutrition. Yeah. And I'm like, I've been doing that with people forever. Right. And so I was coming up with a term for it so I could let people know that this is the nutritional approach that I take when I work with clients. And it's an actual thing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure it is.
It's like psychological
nutrition.
Why
Peloton, let me just tell you.
This is amazing.
That's why Peloton works so well. That's why so many people are so all in with Peloton, because it is not, the focus is not the physical.
Yeah. There
is always a message when you're on that bike. Just the other day, it was like God was reading my mail. It was all about taking risks and perfection. And I was like, what the hell is this nonsense?
He's like, I see you, Megan.
Oh my gosh. Like, I have been on that bike and I have bawled. And it's not because I can't breathe or I'm in pain. It's because they're working on my mental state. Mm-hmm. And that is, I really honestly believe that's why Peloton is so successful, is because it's playing with your mind.
Well, it works.
In a good way.
And I will tell you, when it comes to like the fitness industry or just change in general, if you create an emotional connection to that.
Oh, for sure.
It's what drives you to come back.
Well, think about food. Like, you have an emotional connection to food, you know.
Everything's behavioral. Everything's driven from the inside.
So we're going to talk about what kind of energy you bring what kind of energy you have, and how God designed us. Those were supposed to be 2 separate topics, but for some reason I felt like
Megan's the bossy one. She's like, we're doing this and we're doing this. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I don't care, Sarah.
That's not
That's
right.
what she does.
You did not refute my
No, I
putting
didn't.
these 2 topics
Because I'm a
together.
flexible kind of gal, and I've learned about myself. I'm an empath. This whole research for this just took me a whole nother level. I'm like,
have you done your Enneagram? Do you know your number?
I didn't memorize it.
Well, you
I
need
feel
to
like
go
it's a
find
9.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
I can't tell you the name, but I can see. I know the characteristics. I can see that.
I was surprised about it too because it says that I am a competitive person.
Oh, for sure.
And it says that I'm also it was another one. They were kind of almost contradicting. Like my
yeah, well,
wing
you're
or whatever.
wing, yeah. Well, mine are too because I'm a 1, which is like the striver, the perfectionist, but then my wing is service. It's a 2. So, anyways, okay. Well, you start it. I want you to start.
Do an episode on Enneagram.
We should do an Enneagram episode. I feel like it's been talked a little bit too much, but maybe you and I could talk about it.
I haven't heard about it. All I've only heard about it is from you. But then again, that doesn't mean anything because I don't listen to the radio. I barely listen to very many podcasts. I don't listen to anything. I just sit quietly.
She lives in her hole. You do not sit quietly.
I just sit quietly. That's all I do. Okay, so when I first, because I think this topic was my idea, I think, about energy. And when I first looked into, when I first had the thought about doing a podcast about energy, it was really more on the way that you receive energy. This was before I did research. I was like, it impacted me in the way of the way you interact with other people and how energy is transferred from person to person and how someone can walk in and you can pick up on their energy. That's true. And how your energy can adjust a situation that you're in and how your energy can dictate your mental state.
Absolutely.
And so as I was going through, I went through and I kind of got into, I went into like a little, what is that, a wormhole? Rabbit hole?
Rabbit hole?
Rabbit hole. So I was reading about like the aura, the chakras, and things like that. And then I took it to, I'll swing back around to that, but then I took it to the whole time I'm reading about like what your aura is, which is an energy field. It's an electromagnetic field. It's a non-physical layer of energy that surrounds you, surrounds the physical body. And they've actually proven, they've measured that scientifically. Did you know that?
I could see that happening.
Oh, I know.
Sure.
It's 100%. It's just not like on our mind though. Like we don't think about it.
No, but think about how people make you feel when you're with them.
Yes.
And how you feed off each other. And you and I have had this conversation a lot about like our conversations and how they really feel divine. And I think it's because the way that our energies play off each other. And we've had some really hard conversations where you've said hard things to me and I've said hard things to you. And I don't think, even if we've taken it like that hurt a little bit or stung a little bit, there's just something about our energies that are very compatible.
Yeah.
That make it those conversations
but compatible.
Yes.
It's like 2 puzzle pieces that fit together.
Yes, but there's this totally energy
different.
that I feel when we're together and we're talking. So yeah, I totally that does not surprise me.
Well, even to think about it, my husband doesn't listen to this, so it won't matter, but his whole family does, so maybe a problem. But like Clifton just recently over the past year has finally come out of years of depression, years of hormonal imbalance. I mean, just years. I'm like, oh my God, if this is what marriage is like, put a pillow over my face now because this is terrible. And and he and I both had kind of a back and forth of dealing with things like, oh my God, I can't. Well, one, I love him, and I've always felt like our love has been given to us by God because we have every reason not to be together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we have all the excuses, like there's complete justifiable reasons.
Allison is that.
And then there's like all the other normal married stuff and people stuff. So he would come home and I will tell you he's like a different person now and it's amazing. And I'm like, this is what happy marriage is. This is amazing. Legit sex every day. But that's my gratitude.
Right. But his energy that he's brought in has shifted. And so it's shifted everything in the house.
Yes. So previously the energy was, you would have like the anticipation, oh, he's coming home. Yeah. And this sounds shitty to say about him, but I don't, and I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of women feel this way.
Oh, for sure.
So I would have like that anxiety of him coming home. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he would come in and you read him. You're like reading, oh my gosh, is he mad? Is he happy? What's happening? Should I get the kids and shuffle them the other way? Should I, what do I need to do? And it was always, even if it was self-perceived, if that makes sense. Yeah. Even if it was me coming up with all of that energy in my head, it was reinforced by the multiple incidences of him coming home. And it was like a blanket of just complete terrible. Like, it was just like sadness. It was like heavy, heavy, heavy. He didn't say a word. He didn't do anything different other than walk in the house, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
And so now that he has come through this, and he is self-admitted, he's like, I was terrible for years and years and years. And I'm like, is that why you just bought me expensive things? Because you knew you were so terrible? He's like, basically. I'm like, so does it mean there's no more gifts?
Right.
Is that what that means? I told him that this week. I'm like, wait a minute. Does it mean I'm not going to get it like at your kitchen? What's happening? So just the change, and sometimes I can escalate.
Oh, for sure.
And like with him, he has such a calm energy about him now. It's like you don't even, I know how to respond, but it doesn't escalate me.
Yeah.
Things just are so much more calmer. And so when I was thinking about this topic, that was the person that I was thinking of.
Right.
Or even when I would walk and talk with people, like I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I'm like, are you okay? How are things going? Are you okay? And she just kind of, I don't know what it was. I think that's why I researched empath, because I was like, for some reason people always tell me things, and I always notice things.
Right.
She's like, yeah, we're okay. And I just kind of sat there and looked at her, and she goes, well, no, not really.
No, they're not okay.
No, they're not okay. And that happens to me a lot. People do that a lot to me. So I think I think it's an important topic to talk about because we feel it every day.
Yeah.
We feel it, we respond to it. We change our actions because of it. But yeah, we don't talk about it. We don't give it credit. Like, we don't give it.
I think because it's always there and it's not something. Okay, so here's a question I have for you. Do you think that your energy is a choice?
Absolutely. I think you can mentally prepare yourself and you can feel your energy shifting. It's about awareness. If you're aware of it, you can take a moment, take a breath, and recenter your energy. Like, they talk about chakras in here, and it's talking about the energy centers or portal fields located in like your spine and things like that. And like, it's very like anatomical, like how your body works.
It's like you said, it's scientific and it's physical. And I really do think that, when we're talking about exercise, to me, it's 95% mental and 5% physical. And so I think a lot of times, you could look at your situation with your husband and say, well, he's coming in with his energy, and so I have the right to respond with my energy. But you have a choice in that moment. Are you going to respond? Are you going to let your circumstances, other people's energy determine what yours is going to be? Because you have a choice in that moment. You really do. You have a choice. You might not have a choice in how that person comes through the door.
Yeah.
But you have a choice in how you respond and what that looks like. And that'll completely change the dynamic of your home, of your day, of your life. It really does. Because you can choose to treat everyone crappy because
you're justified, because they treated you crappy. They came in like that.
You can choose to have a bad energy. You can choose to not.
So I read this part, and this is from, I wrote down the website, give it credit. Human Energy Healing Site. So I thought this was cool. They said, they're talking about chakras. They're conceived as a whirling wheel, like a vortex, through which the universe / cosmic energy flows in and out. I feel like Megan's gonna stare at me. Flows in and out of a person. And when I read that, I'm like, I have to make a column for spiritual, because it is just.
I think everything you just said was spiritual.
It's all spiritual.
I think everything, they can say it's the universe, but
God created the universe.
Yes, and that's why I think these things go together. How God designed us and our energy. God designed us with an energy.
Yes.
Think about Him creating the earth or the world, creating everything. That took energy. Like the Big Bang, you can't say whether or not that happened because God didn't say how He created.
Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my Christian card. I thought about the sitcom when she said
No.
I know what she means. I'm not an idiot, but at first I was like, the one with like Sheldon.
Right. That's a big favorite show in our house too. But that could be a Big Bang, but that took energy.
Yes.
Right? And so to discredit the fact that we are created with energy and that we have energy within us that's why it's so
preposterous.
Yes, I mean my girlfriend, my friend that's a girl, she
it's a whole other podcast.
She had recommended to me this meditation series, and so I started to do it, and it's amazing how your energy changes. So I think like chakras, it's self-awareness. It's taking that moment to sit and be still. Today, I even actually posted on my Insta stories after I got done working out, I sat on my stair and just kind of stared outside, and partly because I slept really bad last night and I was tired, but I just needed to sit in the silence for a second, and it was amazing how my energy shifted, just allowing myself to hear the quiet.
Yep.
And not always live in the loud and the chaotic. It was like my shoulders relaxed, my breathing settled, and I was like, oh, this is what relaxation feels like. And so it's that, I think when you talk about this chakras and this, that stuff that you're talking about, I think it is highly spiritual. It is spiritual. God created us with an energy field in us, around us. And it's just like the free will of whether you accept God or not, the free will to choose how you want to go about utilizing that energy within you.
And I feel like people don't realize how much power they have. They can just...
For sure.
And
For sure. Or they realize how much power they do have and they misuse it.
That's true. I haven't met that person yet. Maybe I
I've
haven't.
met
I
some
just
people
don't
like
know.
that.
I just don't know.
I have.
I feel when you were talking about sitting on the step and just taking that moment to meditate, I feel like we're always in a hurry, living into the next moment. What do I have to do next? And I'm guilty of this 100%.
And that changes your energy, right?
Yes, it does. It changes your energy from a peaceful energy of welcoming of what God has in store for you to an energy of what your intention are and what your plan is. It becomes very self-focused.
It doesn't make room for God to work and to move.
And this is something I not struggle with. It's something I'm aware that I have to shift and change. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. And I find it just goes so much more peaceful.
Oh, for sure. So much more peaceful. It's interesting. So I think this comes back to, I want to talk on what you just said, but I think this comes back to our last episode in contentment. If you are content, you don't have to be happy with everything. You don't have to think that nothing has to change. But if there is a level of contentment within you, you can walk into a room with peace and confidence and have others desire that as well, just because you've walked into the room with that, And I've learned, I was the same as you. Scott would always say to me, he would ask me what I was doing this week or that day or whatever. And I would always talk about how busy my calendar was. And he's like, well, you made the choice to make it that busy.
I've almost wanted to say that to you before.
Yeah. And
because just real quick, real therapy session, real quick.
Yeah.
Because you love being still and you love just being with your family.
Yeah.
And you love just with your chickens and all your things. And I'm like, well, why is she so busy?
I'm not busy when they're home. I think what you're feeling is I'm feeling like I have to get everything done while they're at school.
Is that the energy I'm feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm getting things done while they're at school so that when they're home, I'm fully present. Yes. And I'm not running errands or doing the laundry or whatever. And it's amazing how quickly the day goes by when they're at school.
Yes.
Right?
She keeps telling me that I have this high hope. And it's like, everyone's like, Sarah, no, it's not that long. And I'm like, that feels like
it's not that long. It feels like it could be, but by the time you do all your morning stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock. And then it takes you half an hour to do errands. But anyways, to get to the place you need to go, I've noticed lately that I am allowing space in my day while they're at school. I always felt like I had to be busy to earn my keep.
To justify you're at home.
I would stay at home. Mom, while they're at school. And so that didn't leave space for God to move. And so I just got a text from a friend and I asked her if she wanted to read a book with me. And her husband, she said, I can't read another book. I don't have it on my plate. She works full time. But her husband had told her that she's doing too many things for herself. So she's working out really early in the morning. She's reading a book and going to Bible study. And I'm like,
she's doing too many things for herself?
Yes, like those things. And I thought, oh my gosh, he would hate me because this year there are things that I know that I need to do to still myself. Yeah. And that looks like me taking time to work out and be healthy and to eat healthy, to sit still and do nothing and listen to silence, to read a book, because that all changes my energy. Mm-hmm. When I take care of me, when I give myself space in my schedule, on my calendar, when I'm not infiltrated by always giving of myself to others, that would be my kids and my husband, then my energy is different. So I'm better for you.
I just worry about the seed of resentment that might plant if he's telling her she's already doing too many things.
Yeah, well, it just made me think. Well, I know, and I was reading my book on the couch.
You're like, oh my god!
I was like, but my kids were occupied. We had a family dinner.
You don't have to justify that either, by the way.
No, I don't feel like I have to. But I was sitting. I don't feel like I have to in my home justify.
No, but I think you have to in your mind, just based on the statement that you said before. You were like, well, I think a lot of people have the same feeling.
I think 100%. And that changes your energy. But when I stopped and I allowed myself to get healthy, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things. And I give myself space in my calendar to say, okay, this day I'm not going to schedule anything, but this day I'm going to work, or this, you kind of worked it out so that you create that space. When I do that, then I have better energy that I'm bringing to my family.
Absolutely.
Or to my friends, or to whoever I'm coming in contact with. I'm not always in a rush.
We always have, for years, had Friday as like our date night.
Yeah.
And now it's become family date night. But we always called it Fun Day Friday.
Yeah.
And that's the one day I would never schedule anything. And it would be whatever the kids wanted to do. And I would tell you, the energy I had going into that was just excitement. Like I was just, yes. Yeah. I don't have to be out there. I can just do whatever I want because that is
it's almost a relief too. It's like a relief that you don't have something. I don't think us as women realize, or maybe we do and we don't care. We like that power. We don't realize how powerful our energy is in our homes.
I think it requires you to have accountability.
That's
the hard part. And I know for me personally, I'm like, God dang it, I know my energy affects everybody. Sometimes I want to be selfish and just feel the way I feel.
Yeah. But I think we need those moments too.
But I think that's what you mean by like abuse. I think that's what you mean when you say, no, they have that power and then they don't care, or what?
I think it's, you can feel the way you feel without negatively affecting other people. Like I always tell the boys. Can you tell me
how to do that? Is there a spreadsheet?
You got to separate yourself from them. You don't get to
diagram.
Like I tell the boys all the time, you can be angry. You can be frustrated. God gave you emotions for a reason. And I think emotions really are fed in with an energy, right? You can look at emotions and energy. I feel like they're kind of synonymous. I tell the boys all the time, you can be angry and you can be mad and you can feel those feelings. God designed you to feel. But you don't get to lash that anger out on me or your brothers.
You know what we say in our house? You don't have to act the way that you feel. You can feel that way.
Yeah.
But you don't.
But if you want to act that way, then you get to remove yourself, because over here we're our energy's good. It's cool, man. You can go and just be with your bad self and be angry, and that's fine. But you don't get to be privy to this space.
We always separate them, like when the kids are having.
But I think we need to do that to ourselves. I'm feeling angry, and I've had to do that. That's how I've learned how to fight with Scott. Because our very first real blow up fight, I think I said this on the. He walked out, and so sometimes when I get angry with him, and when he comes in and asks me what's wrong, I tell him I can't talk to you about it right now. I'm too angry, or I'm too sad, or I'm too resentful. So you've got to give me some time to process. And when I'm ready, I'll talk to you. And I always do come around and talk to him, but I got to let the emotion and that energy just settle a little bit. It's going to simmer, but then I got to let it settle. But I really think that takes an internal perspective. I think it's getting to know yourself, allowing you to get to know yourself. I was just talking to another friend the other day about, I can see some weaknesses in my parents that are in me, like anger and selfishness. And I'm keenly aware of those things in my life and how I want that to show to my boys, to my husband, to my friends, or whatever. Not to say I do it all the time, but like do it right all the time. But at least I have this internal dialogue with myself. Like, that's a weakness in you, red flag, watch out for it. Watch out for that energy. Cause I can slam a good cabinet.
Oh, I can slam a real good door.
Yeah. I can give a look.
I've been my mature response now, because it comes with age, I think too. One, I just get too tired and I don't want to fight about anything or yell. And I've noticed after having kids, like in your 20s, at least for me before we had kids, I didn't have anybody really to affect other than myself and my husband. And now that I have children, like they don't like it. I remember the first time that I yelled, and I think Luke started crying, and I was like, oh.
Well, then you think you've ruined them for the rest of your life.
I broke him, and he's ruined now. He'll be,
I think that this comes down to how God designed us too, because I do think that there is a design of our energy in ourselves that was created. And I always look at my youngest, like I always joke that he's either going to rule the world or he's going to be in prison. He's the kid that
will be together.
Right. They'll have they'll rule the prison. I know. But there's that verse that says, train a child in the way they should go and they will not depart from it. It's in Deuteronomy. But anyways, I think about my job isn't to, and this was advice I got from another mom. It's not wisdom that I gleaned on my own, My job isn't to change who he is, change his energy that he brings to the table, because he is a feisty, passionate.
Well, you don't want to change
He's just
that.
this like big personality. I have no idea where he gets it from. My job is to guide him to take that personality to down a positive journey rather than on the negative journey. And I think the same holds true to us, right? We've got this energy inside of us. We've got this design. And it's that giving yourself time to get to know yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses emotionally? When you walk into a room, what does that look like? Like for me, I'm an extrovert, but when I walk into a room, I'm real quiet at first because I'm reading the room.
Yeah.
I'm reading where I fit. And what's really helped me learn a lot about me is looking at my kids, because I can see me in them in good ways and bad ways. But my oldest is the same way. He's a real extrovert, super funny. But when he goes into a situation that's brand new, that's not comfortable to him, he's real quiet. And I'm like, oh, okay.
A little bit like mom.
Yeah, like at first I thought, I'm like, well, I'm an extrovert. I just walk into a room, I talk to, no, I don't. I take time to kind of, so.
Well, it's funny. That's a perfect segue into, I had an issue last week about energy. Remember? I won't go into details, but I went into a room with other women, and I'm an extroverted person. I usually don't feel uncomfortable. I don't usually feel any, but there was definite weird energy. And the entire time I questioned myself. And I'm like, Sarah, are you being competitive? Sarah, are you insecure? Sarah, are you this? And it really, at the end of the day, it was none of those things. It was just bad energy in the room.
Yeah.
And I even said it out loud, to the group. I'm like, the energy just feels off. I don't feel like I'm connecting with y'all. And they looked at me like I had two heads.
Right.
Because I actually talked about it and nobody really said anything. And it was
because
very
we don't talk about this.
No.
I think people think it's too, because, you started this I wonder how many people we lost when you started this podcast and you talked about chakras. And what else did you talk about? What was the other word that
aura.
you said? Aura. Because I think people get a little like, ooh, that's too kumbaya-y. All it is your energy.
It's just a name for what God made.
Yes.
That's all it is.
But I think it's so imperative. That's why I think talking about contentment first, and because we're not content. We're not a content people group. We just aren't. Not in America. And then talking about energy and how God designed us. There are things that are such a part of who we are, whether you're content or you're not, or whether you are aware of your energy or you're not. If you're not thinking about it, talking about it, working on it, then when you go move into those goals spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're gonna really struggle. Not that you can't find a success. I just feel like you're gonna really struggle if you don't know what kind of energy you're bringing to the table. You don't know if you're content in life or not, or with yourself or not. You don't have that internal perspective.
And the point of the story was to trust that energy, being able to recognize that energy, trust that energy, and know when it's not the right fit for you, and know when it's not good energy for you to be around, and have faith. And those are things that God has put into place to talk to
guide you.
To guide you.
I like that, Sarah. That's
good. How many times, especially as people-pleasing women, and this is even on Crime Junkies, by the way, like we're the only species that will feel the sense of fight or flight, the flight. And we still enter, even though everything inside of our body tells us, no, this is not okay. And
because we don't give enough, I don't want to say power, that's not the right word. Credit to our energy, or to the energy that we're feeling.
And I think you should.
Yes, and I think it's okay to say, like going back to what you said, being in a room of women where the energy wasn't good. It was, I think it's healthy and it's good to say, this isn't right. This isn't the right fit for me. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or I'm going to give it a little bit more time. You know, there's so many things. It's an awareness of, this did not feel right. So I'm going to do some internal searching.
And then I'm going to call a friend, phone a friend.
And then my phone a friend.
Like, this is what's happening. Is this me? Is this me?
And being aware.
And I think that's what I think is so funny. What keeps coming back to me. I'm going to get into the spiritual part of it too, but it's so funny. I don't know. I've never seen $1 million. Have you seen $1 million?
No.
But we know it exists, right?
Yeah.
And we give more credit to $1 million versus
the energy.
I feel the energy every single day.
Yeah.
It affects my moment every day, but yet I don't give credit to it. It's just funny.
It's true. And I mean, think about it. Like, Wyatt came home before Christmas on a Monday afternoon, and I was like, he's off.
Yeah.
Like as a mom, you know when your kid is off.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he got sick the next day, or in the middle of the night, he got sick. And I just knew, I'm like, either something bad happened at school or something else is going on that I don't know about that I've got to like PI and figure out. We pay so much attention to it with our children, but not with ourselves.
Oh, Allie like I have to remove myself, because if I walk in her room, if I'm mad or frustrated or my energy's high about something else that's not in a positive way, I really can't walk into her room,
Because she'll know.
She'll know. And then
Yeah.
she'll start kind of going, and it's like, it is uncanny and freaky, and to the point where even like the nursing staff like, your energy's a little high. Why don't you bring it down a little bit? And then you can go in there.
But isn't that just further proofs of the
Yes.
importance of us paying attention to our energy and our design, that my energy might not be compatible with your energy. Think about your marriages and all of the relationships that you have, that maybe your energy, I think our energies change, right? You said you've gotten older, and so when you know, things don't matter as much. And I think the same. I think as you age, you gain more wisdom, and so your energy shifts and changes a little bit. It matures along with you.
I know we've talked a lot about energy. I want to talk about how I read this quote, and it was, to me, I loved it. It says, energy is the life force that binds the soul to the body. I was like, oh, that is so true. Write that down. I'll post it.
You post it.
I'll post it for sure. But energy is the life force that binds the soul to the body. And what is one of the best ways that we can harness that energy? It's through prayer.
Oh, totally.
Complete prayer. People will meditate, things like that, but prayer, I think, is the fastest way to harness that energy.
For sure.
And align yourself with God.
And prayer doesn't always mean that you have to talk.
Oh, do you talk all the time in prayer? Like, I say it in my head, and then sometimes
I don't say it out loud. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, you don't have to say it in your head or out loud.
Oh, what do you do?
You just be still.
Okay.
That's meditation. But and people get freaky about that too in the Christian world. And I'm like, no, meditation is stillness. Like, be still and know that I am God. That's meditation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to tell you. And just sitting on my step this morning in my media room and looking out the window and allowing myself to sit in the silence, it made me aware of so many things. And it was an appreciation and very spiritual. It wasn't like kumbaya spiritual. It was like, I really like that tree outside. Thanks, God. Like, thanks for putting that outside my window. Like,
there's nothing
which
wrong
sounds
having
silly,
simple.
but-
No, that's not silly. That is complete gratitude for the gifting that God has given.
And then when you do that, what did that do? It shifted my energy.
Well, and also when we sit and we are still and we are not saying a prayer out loud or saying a prayer in our head, guess who we allow to, we open our ears to God.
Yeah.
And that's our chance to listen and just listen to what direction he wants to go. Sometimes I'll say a prayer and be like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
There's a prayer I say a lot. I'm like, make my words your words, make my heart your heart, make my thoughts your thoughts.
I love it.
And I just sit in the stillness and I wait for him to talk to me. And I will tell you, sometimes he's silent.
Yes.
And I think that the Christian community needs to be okay with that a little bit. And then when he does communicate to you, there's like no question. People are like, how do you know that it was God? And I'm like, because it was.
Well, or like things like me.
How do you know you have a hand?
Right.
Because it's there.
You just know that you know that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like me picking the word risk, and then I started questioning myself, like, is that really my word? Was that just something I made up? And then I get on my bike and it's all about risk. Like,
you're like, no,
yeah.
I didn't make that up.
Yeah. Make my words your words, my thoughts your thoughts. What was your last one?
I always say, make my words your words, my thoughts your thoughts, my heart your heart.
My heart your heart. I like that.
Yeah. And I was looking up different scripture about, this part. Let me see where it's at. Oh, it's on the next page. There were 4 pages of notes, just so I can get my gold star at the end of the day.
Right.
It was talking about invoking spiritual energy, because we talk about the worldly perspective of energy, the medical perspective of energy,
right,
when really it is a spiritual thing. And it was talked about, I already said, some of the most simplest ways is through prayer.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how, I'm like, well, we can say that we need to invoke this energy. We say that we need, how do we do that? And so I read, spiritual energy is invoked by any true spiritual or humanitarian motive. Anyone who is feeling their higher as priorities, who are being of genuine service to others, who are coming closer to the revelation of their true divinity is invoking spiritual energy. And I'm like, how many times in scripture do we read that?
Yeah.
About how whenever you're about serving other people and about I went through and there's so many different scriptures. I should have wrote them down, but Megan came over. But I just was like, that's all biblical.
It is all biblical.
biblical.
Well, you think about Jesus and the energy he brought, right? It wasn't even whenever he met someone and he changed their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they were living in sin. They were living a life that wasn't of him. It wasn't anything that he said really that changed them. It was the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I have the chills thinking about it. It was the energy he brought. When he met the woman at the well who was with her, the fifth man in her life, who wasn't her husband, and he purposefully met her there. She was the first missionary who went back to her village to tell them about Jesus and changed her life because of it. It wasn't because of anything that he said. It was an energy he brought. When the woman grabbed his cloak, the woman who was bleeding for like 12 years and grabbed his cloak, there was something about Jesus that it wasn't even anything that he said or that she did. It was the power of the energy of her faith grabbing his cloak. Like he felt, when you read it, he felt her energy touch his cloak. He was surrounded by hundreds of people. How did he feel her grabbing the foot of his robe? Like the very bottom. It was an energy that went through him, and then an energy came back through to her to heal her. It was all about energy. So when you are sitting there and you can pray and be grateful, when you give to others, it's changing you from the inside out, and it's changing your energy and the energy that you bring wherever you go, that you carry.
I'm going to lose my Christian card again.
You're never going to lose your Christian card. That can't be lost.
Which story was it? Job, where he was in such grief and they told him to go out and serve others. Was that Job? No,
Job just lost everything.
I know, but there was a Bible story where he told him he was so consumed with his own sorrow and all the things that were happening. I can't remember who it was. And God told him to stop looking inward at like what's happening with you. Look outward, go and serve other people.
Yeah.
That's a complete energy shift.
Oh, for sure.
That's a complete, and I remember I was thinking about that here. You're supposed to be my Google Jesus.
Sorry, I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a lot of them that were very selfish and pompous.
Now I'm totally have to go look it up today and like follow back up with that. But I mean, that was a complete energy shift, and I think the only reason I probably remember it is because it's something that a tool that I've always used whenever we're in severe grief. Look and serve others, and watch how.
Or even praising I can't remember what the song was that we sang this weekend, but speaking of Job, one thing that he did over and over again was no matter what happened, whether his family was taken from him, his livelihood, he got sick, his physical well-being was threatened, he would not stop praising God. And that changed his energy. Like you can look at him and be like, well, why didn't you even his friends were like, dude, give up, man.
Yeah.
You've got boils all over your skin. Like, give up. It's time. You've lost your family. And he's like, I won't stop praising God. And not that he didn't question him, because he did. And not that he didn't have that moment of bad energy. He did. But at the end of the day, through prayer, through meditation, through stopping from being so focused on the negative things that were happening in his life, he shifted his perspective.
His energy.
And it healed him.
And God was good the entire way through. And I think that's the story of Job that resonates is even though these things are happening, God is still good. Yeah. Despite the boils, despite the loss of all the things that you thought were important, God is good. Yeah.
I had to end there. I'm sorry. That was good. We didn't talk anything about
what did you
our design. No.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't fit.
It didn't fit?
It didn't. I don't think it fit.
I think it was weaved in there, though. I think you said it without saying God's design.
I think we did. I think that we could, if we want to revisit that topic, that's all I'm saying. I don't think it needs to be revisited. I'm just saying we could revisit it.
Do you want to record a little bit and then maybe edit it in? Or do you want to?
I think it's a whole nother topic. As we were talking, like what I have written for that is very different.
Well, I wonder what you have written. I didn't think we would talk that long about energy.
I didn't either. I thought that was good.
I was like, dang.
And I think we went all over the place, which I liked.
Well, yeah, because everyone
loved
has
it.
different thought
I loved
processes,
it.
and I want everyone.
Should we do the one about the chakras? Don't you think?
the one where everyone stopped listening?
Should we do that? Or about the chakras?
The one about the aura, the chakras, the
I like
aura,
chakras.
The whirling wheel like a vortex. Which I didn't even read that part. Which universal and cosmic energy flows in and out of a person.
No,
And
you did read.
Did I read that?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh
good.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'll lose them there if I say universal
you
and
might
cosmic
not.
energy.
You might not.
I think all of these things were created by God, and I think that.
And I think it's okay to say that.
And I think
agree.
I don't think it's wrong just because someone calls it a chakra and someone else calls it,
Divine
a
intervention
division.
or something.
I mean,
I know.
I
I think we can get a little Christianese too. Oh, don't you do it. They're having a hard time connecting. Don't you do it. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Okay, let's go. 8%.
Are you talking about the population in general or the population that we podcast to can get a little Christianese? I'm trying to understand what you said.
I feel like Christians can get a little Christianese.
Oh yeah. Do you think? Well,
I'm not saying we are, and I'm
No.
not saying the people who listen to us are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying Christians can get a little Christianese, and so when you go off the rails and you use a word like chakras, they're going to be
Lose 'em.
like, "Oh no, I'm shutting down because you're not Christian because you're not speaking our
Because you
language."
said chakra.
Yeah, you're not speaking our language.
Okay.
Which I'm like, language? I don't know.
Look thinner.
I do.
You do. What are you doing? Why?
I'm sitting straight instead of slouching.
What about now? What about me? How
Do I look good? You look good. I like that color on you. I like your
Thank you
shirt
very
too. It's very cute.
Yeah, Ruby's rubbish.
Oh, that's a good one. I know. I need to get some new shirts. All my shirts are like
And they're so soft.
500 years old. I need to.
They're so soft. I can't help but love it. And one of my good friends, his wife works with them, and I always want to support.
That's good. I like
It is
that.
nice. All right.
Bye.